Wow. Why were you put on this earth? Maybe you were put on this earth for the same reason as Martina, to inspire countless people. There's a great quote from Mark Twain, and he said, "The two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why." And not to disagree with that quote, but I believe in something of progressive revelation. There can be many days that you find out why. There can be many days that shift your journey, that change your path forever, if you're open. If your eyes are open and you're really not just looking, but you're seeing. If your ears are open and you're not just hearing, but you're listening. If you are aware and absorbing and responding and daring to say yes. So my first why moment actually came before I was born. My mom was pregnant with me, and she read a book called Diet for a Poison Planet. And in one day, my dad went to work, he was a teacher, and by the time he got home, she had completely transformed the entire house. Packaged food was out, and fresh local foods were in. Plastics were out, and metal and glass was in. She started cleaning the home with lemon and vinegar. That was literally the world into which I was born in Northern California. One day, one book changed my mom's life, and she acted upon it. In 2002, a study came out that Marin County, who's here has been to Marin County? Okay, I'm partial, it's the neck of the woods where I'm from. Marin County, this idyllic place, the birthplace of mountain biking, the highest concentration of organic farms anywhere in the country. Marin County had the highest breast, prostate, and melanoma cancer rates in the world. My mom went to a supervisor's meeting with a friend of hers who had just finished chemotherapy. She was watching her friends die and get sick, and I was watching the parents of my friends get sick and die. And they said, listen, this is what's happening, but in one of the most affluent counties in America, we're really sorry there isn't enough money to do the testing. That did not sit right with my mother. And I saw my mom spring into grassroots activist mode. I remember her coming home that day transformed. She was a television producer, and suddenly she was organizing the county like a political campaign to send 3,000 volunteers to 50,000 households to ask a very simple question. Why? Why were cancer rates off the charts? And that started a movement that 2 years later, when the ingredients in cosmetics and personal care products were linked to cancer, sent me on my journey of activism. We co-founded an organization called then Teens for Safe Cosmetics, now Turning Green, all around environmental education and advocacy. One day, one meeting changed my mother's life, started a movement in my town, and set me on a journey for the rest of my life. When I was 18 years old, who here is in college? Okay, so I was a freshman in college. I was going to my first college conference. So maybe some of you are here at your first conference during college. And on the bus ride home the first night back to our hotel, after the opening plenary session, sound familiar? I was talking to these two boys, and they asked me, after telling me about their stories, one was working with former child soldiers in sub-Saharan Africa, and the other was talking about some of the most rampant poverty I ever heard on a South Pacific island nation. And then they asked me what I did. And I looked at them and I said, environmentalist? They said, what? I said, I'm an environmentalist. I was suddenly so ashamed. How could I, someone who's benefited from white privilege her entire life, someone who grew up in Marin County, California, someone whose parents worked multiple jobs but always had a roof over her head, someone who got scholarships to go to schools. How could I be telling people what food to eat, what to put their water in, and what to fill their homes or their dorms or their classrooms with? How entitled. How self-righteous. What a privilege it was that I even could think about those things. And they said, well, what does it mean to be an environmentalist to you? And I started talking to them about the campaigns that we ran with Turning Green around public health, around fair trade, around zero. Okay, how about that? Is that better? Okay, around public health, around fair trade, around zero waste, around school food. And they said, wait, hold on. Those issues are really relevant to our communities. Wait, these campaigns sound like things that I want to get involved in, that the people I work with could really benefit from. And we had this fascinating dialogue wherein I came to see that environmentalism knows no bounds of race, of geography, of faith, of socioeconomic status, that issues of resource conservation, of land degradation, of water, of labor conditions, of health epidemics affect us all. One conversation on one bus that I dared to engage in shifted my approach on what it meant to champion environmentalism, of what it meant to rise up as a sustainability advocate, to become and embrace my identity as an activist. So then one day hit, January 12th, 2010. Does anybody know what happened that day? Shout it out.
BP oil spill?
No, BP oil spill, not then. Yes, who said it? An earthquake hit Port-au-Prince, Haiti. I was sitting in my college dorm room, watching images of Port-au-Prince roll in rubble. And something inside me snapped. And I said, I've got to go. Now, on January 11th, I'm not proud to say this, but I probably couldn't have put Haiti on a map. I had no connection, I'd never been. So I called JetBlue. I bought a really cheap ticket from New York to Santo Domingo because the Port-au-Prince airport was closed. And I called my mom. And I said, hey, Mama, I just want to let you know I'm going to Haiti. And she said, I was expecting this call. Just the phone. I said, what? And she said, listen, you're 18 years old. I don't think it's wise, but make your own decisions. So I kept packing, and my college dorm mate tells this story way better than I do, but there I was, going to get on a plane and fly to Santo Domingo, take a bus that may or may not exist across a contested border into a nation that had just had one of the worst natural disasters in modern history, that is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, knowing no one, having no skill set that I thought of being valuable at that moment, and sticking out like a sore thumb. Now, you don't know me, but I had no nefarious intentions. I was going because I wanted to help. I wanted to help. So my mom had friends that started to call me. You're going to get raped. Click. You're going to get kidnapped. Click. You're going to get killed. And I hung up these calls because fear wasn't entering into this equation. And then a friend called, a journalist. He said, listen, Erin, I want to go too. But think about this. Any food you eat is their food. Any water you drink could be someone who really needs it. And any shelter that you take up means that someone will be sleeping without it. And God forbid, should something happen to you, you will be the first one on the operating table. You will be medevaced out, pardon me, and you will be on the cover of the New York Times. That did it. I called JetBlue and I canceled that ticket. I spent the next 3 weeks trying to find an organization that would take me, and I did. An acute care field hospital there that needed people to work in logistics. And that was a skill set that I had as an 18-year-old who could live in a tent in the mud and operate a laptop. So yeah, I wanted to help. I bet a lot of you want to help. What does that really mean? Helping yourself so you can walk home at the end of the day and go, wow, I did something great. Wahoo. Or helping in a way that is rooted in need. Helping in a way that is lasting. Really addressing an issue, not causing collateral damage. I'll tell you guys one more story. In 2015, I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, and I saw an image of a 3-year-old boy wash up dead ashore in Turkey. Did anyone else see this image? Aylan, a young Syrian boy who drowned with his mother when their boat sunk, trying to reach Europe. And you've probably heard I'm an activist. My knee-jerk reaction in the face of injustice is to go, is to show up. And I went. I got a plane ticket because I had shelter, food, water taken care of, and an organization that would take me. And we served a clear purpose on the ground in Lesbos. And I was able to bring with me volunteers. I was able to bring with me resources. I was able to bring with me media coverage and highlight this and go and come back and go and come back and go and come back. That's a place that I can contribute. We can all contribute with our hands and with our feet when we are fortunate enough to be able-bodied. There are times when we can show up, when we should show up. That's not every time. But there are those moments when it feels good to be able to actually contribute something physically with yourself. So when the hurricane hit Puerto Rico 6 months ago, all my friends said, hey, Erin, I want to go with you. I hadn't even made any comments about Puerto Rico. When you go, I'm there. I really want to show up. This is our country. This is an island that's so close. These are American citizens. I said, no. I'm going to do what I can from here. Raise money, send resources, because right now what they need is not me showing up. More mouths to feed, more people to take fuel to power generators. And then I got a call from a friend of mine named Chef Jose Andres, based right here in DC. And he'd gone down, he was cooking pots of sancocho in Santurce in San Juan. And he said, we have dreams of setting up kitchens across this island, and I need you down here to run it. And I said, no. And he said, there's an 8 a.m. plane tomorrow. And I got on the plane. And I showed up. And that afternoon, he introduced me to the governor's staff as his COO and said we were going to make 100,000 meals a day. And I said, yes, chef. And over the past 6 months, we've gone on to open 25 kitchens across Puerto Rico, to purchase all of our ingredients locally, now buying more and more locally grown produce as agriculture come back. And we have cooked with an entirely Puerto Rican team. I'm the only non-Puerto Rican in our operation, over 3.4 million meals for the people who need it most in Puerto Rico. And I flew up here, and I'm flying back late tonight, but I might miss my plane, so maybe tomorrow. And why am I there? Why did I tell you guys these stories? Because I said yes. Because I've tried to answer this question from the universe about why I was put on this earth. And I'm an activist. And environmentalism will always be the filter through which I see my life, but there are so many different avenues that can take, and especially to all of us, but to the students in the room, purpose, not position. It's a circuitous path. But if you remember why you do what you do, and ask yourself 3 questions. Where can I be most impactful? What am I most passionate about? And what best sets me up for a lifetime of service? Impact, passion, and service. There are a multitude of ways that we can all affect change, and we're hearing about them. Through business, through education, through media, through science, through nonprofits. But don't forget about your power individually as activists to show up when it's needed, to stay back when that's what's needed, but to always remember that you are the ones that the world's been waiting for. Thank you guys very much.